Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Crystal Cabin and the Mothership, and talking about women's well-being today, perfect environment. Do you want to introduce yourself and let everybody know what makes Peter happy?
My name's Peter Pendlebury, and what makes me happy? Books, libraries, reading, old books particularly, old libraries particularly. If I could live my life in a library, I think I probably would be just happy as a clam.
Yeah, oh, that's lovely, absolutely. Now, whereabouts are you based, Peter?
I'm in North Wales, so I'm in a little village called Hope, and I have a
lovely, yeah.
which is just an extension of our house. So.
And how have you been managing during the lockdown? Have you managed to keep your business going from a distance, or have you been working on new projects?
Well, both actually. I've been able to do kinesiology. I can do that online. So some clients were online anyway. Other clients have transferred to online. But I've also started doing the videos for my clients. So clients have been able to bob into a weekly video now, just for a little bit of extra help. And we're kind of rotating topics and doing various different things. So yeah, so it's been really interesting. It's been a hell of a learning curve.
Yes,
Going from the very early ones when it was very stammery, lots of ums.
Yeah.
There seems to be quite a lot of so's now. It's like, so. I don't know. I don't know how people do it.
So on that note, what's your background? You want to give us a little bit of an idea of your background, and then what inspired you to come into the business that you're in now?
Okay, well, go way back. I was a personal assistant many years back, and back then they could say, secretary wanted 25 to 35, all that kind of stuff, and I could see that my doors were closing, because if I got bored, I just used to move. And I was in a very lucky position that I always seemed to get whatever jobs I went for. And it was, I absolutely loved what I was doing, but I could see that the doors were closing. So I thought I need to do something else. So I went and retrained as a beauty and body therapist, and electrologist, and aromatherapist.
Okay.
And I did that solely. That was 1995, yes. And then in 1999, it's one of those synchronicity things where I'd never heard of kinesiology. It was just like, what is this? And within the space of about 6 weeks, I heard something, I saw something, I read something, I went to a conference for something else that I did, and I sat next to a kinesiologist, and then there was a trainer who was a kinesiologist, and I'm just like, okay, I get the message.
The universe was talking to you, definitely, yeah. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear, and so it is, yeah.
So that was then a year of going down to Bristol, followed by another year going to Leicester, followed by more training, on and on and on and on. And that's so I fully qualified in 2000. So I've been doing kinesiology and various types of kinesiology since 2000. The most recent, which is about 8 years ago, I think, I started doing quantum kinesiology, and that's the one, if anybody pops into the videos, that's the one they will see, because it is now the one that I use most often, whereas the classical and the health and cyberkinetics and associated healing, those sorts of things, they come in every now and again, but they're not as prominent as quantum kinesiology. I absolutely love quantum kinesiology.
Wow.
Sorry about that.
So that's kind of your background coming into what you're doing now, and getting quite technical. So let's talk about your business, and for those that are not aware, how do you describe kinesiology in layman's terms?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've just done another video on trying to explain what is kinesiology, because it's easier to explain when you're actually working with somebody and you're demonstrating it.
Okay.
But for the layman, it's we use a muscle test, and there's reasons why you can use this thing called a muscle test, which I won't go into now. but we use a muscle test to actually have a conversation with the body. So we can ask questions. So we can ask things like, you know, why have you got this pain? Or why have you got this? There's silent ways of asking, and there's also verbal ways of asking. But we can also say, you know, why are you so stressed out? Why are you so angry about this? Why have you got this block over, you know, you've been procrastinating about this? And then what we can find out is, well, what's the root cause of that? And then we can remove that root cause doing something that we call balances, because we can keep asking the body, what do you want me to do next? What do you want me to do next? And the body goes, I want you to do this. I want you to do that. Now, obviously, it can only tell me what I know how to do. It couldn't tell me something that I don't know how to do that isn't in my toolbox. So every kinesiologist will work slightly differently because we'll all have different experiences. But the root thing of this is the fact that we keep asking the body, what's your next priority? So clients can come in with a symptom, a condition, something they want to deal with. Sometimes we work on that. Sometimes the body goes, no, don't want to work on that. This is far more important. So we find something else that might be, to the client, a lot less important. But sometimes if we remove whatever's causing that, the main thing they want to talk about, they want to deal with, goes away.
Yeah.
Because it was that was underneath that as well.
Yeah.
You must know this as well.
I do, but obviously we're talking to people that may not, so I just wanted to make
quite
it.
Often people will come in and they'll have this. I've got a few clients who will come in with a list of things they want me to sort of check and ask, and we look at, you know, what supplements they're taking, are they the right for them? We can do food intolerance testing. We can ask questions around even things like geopathic stress, like, you know, other places in their house which are actually less healthy for them to be in for any length of time. Is there ways we can mitigate that apart from moving? I did have a lady years ago, we had real problems because she was continually having problems with petrochemical pollutions, and I was putting these balances in place and they weren't sticking. And I'm like, what's going on? Then I found out her family owned a petrol station and the house was next door. So she was breathing in those fumes all the time. And I'm like, it's like, I'm pushing that boulder uphill. This is one of those challenges. It's like, it's never ending. But at least she understood it then. So she understood that we could keep working and keep working, but we were only ever going to try and keep her on an even keel, so to speak. But yeah, so that's basically kind of what kinesiology, does that make sense? Would you think that makes sense?
It absolutely makes sense. It's fascinating. It's not really surprising that you've got into this with your love of reading and studying and wanting to be in the library. Yeah. But once you're on a path of healing, it opens doors, that journey, doesn't it, from one thing to another, and you keep adding to your toolbox. Yeah. Absolutely.
I started off in 1990. As you know, they say that you attract the clients for things you need to work on yourself. And in the early days, it was very physical. It was very, you know, digestive stuff, people with irritable bowel syndrome, all those sorts of things, you know. And then it's kind of changed as I've probably got more experienced as well in what I'm doing. And I'm now much more interested in core beliefs, the things that we learn, the things we inherit from our parents, epigenetics, the stuff where, you know, we've got all this layering that creates us how we are, but also creates how we react.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can be reacting to something and you think, why did I react like that? And it's not even your stuff. Yeah. It's an emotional predisposition that you've inherited from your great granny, you know, that's come down through the family. You know, your dad or, you know, your mum reacts like this, your great grandma. It's just, and I love that, because with kinesiology, we can get into the subconscious and we can get rid of all those bits and pieces, and it can kind of like, and then people can kind of go from being, to being like,
yeah, it's fabulous, isn't it, watching that transformation?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I've never worked with anybody who I would consider to be clinically depressed, as in they've actually had a medical diagnosis from a doctor, but I have had clients who've been depressed, and there is like there's like a receding in the eyes. It's almost like they're not there. It's like they've moved back inside themselves, and it's just wonderful to see that they'll come in for a session and you just go, you're there.
Yeah.
You're back. You're back. And they start to feel so much better, and then they become more vivacious, and they become more, you know.
Yeah.
And I think just something that you just sort of said just then was, I think for me, the most important thing when I'm working with a client is that when they're in the space here, there is no judgment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind who they are, how they've got to this space. They can have made some really, really silly decisions.
And don't we all?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the human condition, you know, but we make those decisions based on what we've got available at the time. We do the best that we know how to do with what we've got available, but they're all there for us to learn something, for us to move on to the next bit. And it's my job not to make judgment, to provide safe space, to hold that space, be detached from their emotions so they can be as emotional as they need to be. And some clients get very emotional in a session, it can happen, so that they can drop whatever it is they've been carrying, whether it's something really serious, you know, horrendous abuse from the past or even the present, down to things that other people might consider would be more inconsequential. But it's not, because it's happening to you. So it's important because it's happening to you. So it's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything starts with you, doesn't it? Yeah. You're the most important person in your world. I do say that to people. It's amazing what we carry in our energy field through the different layers. And as you say, from past lives and paradigms. But people too, I don't know whether you find this, I find people tend to think they're stuck, that, oh, this is where I am and there's no way out. And, you know, once they start to realise and start to see that change for themselves, and it starts to click, as you say, you see it in their eyes, they come back to life. Yeah. It's so motivating for people to know that there's a way forward.
Yeah, there's always more options. Sometimes the options don't look on the surface, they don't look particularly attractive, and sometimes people have to accept that to make that step forward, they may have to take a slight step back, or they may have to take a sideward step to move forward. It's not always ideal in the moment, but if they understand what their core kind of values are, if they understand how they want their life to be, we can get rid of a lot of the clutter that gets in the way of them being able to see what's important to them. Then they can start making better choices, and they can move forward with the people that they associate with, or the relationships that they have, the choices that they make. Because the more you know yourself, then the better choices you will make. And nobody is ever really done. I did have one client last time. I have several clients say, oh, this again, are we ever going to be done with this? And it's like, well, when will I ever be fixed? And I'm like, well, you're not
fixed. Yeah.
Just removing some of the kind of the gubbins and the rubbish that you've accumulated over many kind of ancestral kind of dumpings and the stuff you've added to that. I think you can then kind of flower, and you can come out of all of that, and you can be kind of a better person, that the person that you're happier with.
Yeah, people, we're very visual, aren't we? It's something you were talking about there, saying to be the person you want to become. It's so important to be able to visualize that and be able to tap into how that's going to make you feel, for that to drive you forward, instead of looking back and carrying the baggage that you've been holding on to for so long. Yeah, visualization is absolutely key. Obviously, did you say you worked in hypnotherapy, or you'd had some dealing with
No, I haven't worked in hypnotherapy, but kinesiology, as I understand it, there's very few ways of getting into the subconscious and really rewriting those programs quickly, and hypnotherapy is one and kinesiology is another. There is something now called EMDR, which psychiatrists use, which is an eye thing, eye movement desensitization. Oh, I can't remember what the R stands for now.
They keep renaming it, but it's the same thing, rapid eye movement.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It comes from kinesiology. It's kind of like we were doing that in the 60s. It might be really amusing. Somebody I was talking to the other day, and they were saying, oh, my kid's doing brain gym. I said, you do realise that's kinesiology? It's really quite interesting. It's like thinking, brain gym, that's kinesiology. It's just like
everything,
getting little
everything
kids
is,
to,
sorry, so everything just goes back to energy.
yeah,
Everything is energy.
or
It's all about shifting the energy.
yeah, and we're all interconnected. Oh, really sorry about that. That's my phone just going off. It'll go to answering machine in 4 rings. So yeah, I mean, everything is energy, as we know, and trying to get clients, well, anybody I talk to understand that, you know, if you go down and down and down and down, and you go to the subclinical level, you know, we're not bones, we're not tissue, we're not all of this. We're just all this like energy space.
Yeah.
And that has a vibration, and that can change. And if we change that, then that will eventually change the physical.
Absolutely. Yeah. You just had me thinking about we talk about frequency. We're trying to explain to people about, if you're trying to listen to Radio 1, you're not going to hear it if you're tuned in to BBC Radio 2. Is being in the right frequency is got everything to do with being in the right frame of mind, trying to achieve what it is you want to visualize.
Yes.
And go for. Yeah. Oh, we could talk for hours about energy, I'm sure.
I'm sure we could. I think people don't necessarily understand energy, but I think they understand vibration. So I tend
Yeah.
to talk about vibration, and especially about sound vibration, which is very close to the energy, the sort of, you know, that we're sort of working with. It sound vibration is a part of that, and quite often I'll explain about the sound cancelling, because most people have heard of sort of sound cancelling, like they've got their sound cancelling headphones or all of this kind of stuff. Or some people have been to spaces where they've walked into like a big circle on the floor and it's been really noisy, and then they walk into the circle and it's completely silent. Or there's something like this music playing or something. And it's because they've been able to take the vibrational wave, and they've been able to cancel out. They've been able to take that vibration from the noise by putting another vibration in place, and cancels everything out. And so the two vibrations meet, they cancel each other out. And that's how we work with kinesiology, is that we put, certainly with quantum kinesiology, we put the two vibrations together that are the same vibration, and they cancel each other out.
Superb. So what is the difference between the quantum kinesiology and standard kinesiology? Is that...
Well, there's actually a lot of kinesiologies. It started off as applied kinesiology, and that's how I started training. It got renamed classical when I was partway through, because applied kinesiology, they made a decision that they wanted to keep it for the medical profession. So if you want to train as an applied kinesiologist, well, I haven't checked it for years actually, but it used to be you had to have what was considered a medical qualification. So, you know, a doctor, a nurse, a dentist, chiropractor, physio, nurse, you know, somebody like that. So we became classical, and that was very physical. So that was more to do with nutrition, you know, bone healing, tissue healing. It was to do with like gait and things to do with how your body moves. There is an emotional component, because emotional stress release is a very simple technique, which I have mentioned in one of my videos. Well, we use it in every video, but I actually taught it in one of the videos. And it's a way of being able to get the brain to drop the emotions around an event that you may have had. Because if you've stored that information with the emotion attached, every time you rethink about that event, your body gets the same hit. It gets the same emotional hit. You get the same adrenaline rush. You get the same, you know, cortisol spike or whatever's going on.
Yeah.
So if we can remove that emotional component, when you go back and you think about it again, it may be a very horrible thing that you're thinking about, but you're not going to get all that emotional kick. So it seems a bit more distant, you know, a little less kind of engaging, so you can kind of be more detached from it. So that's where that was kind of, the classical is much more basic, and it's much more of a silent treatment. There's a lot less talking in that. Health kinesiology is completely the opposite. That is all talking, and uses a lot less muscles for testing, has a lot more, tends to go more into the emotional side of things, tends to go more into the core beliefs. It tends to go more into those sorts of things. And cyberkinetics, that's more to do with like your brain being a bit more like a computer. You've got all sorts of gateways. I have to say, I find it a little, it's a little bit like, oh, it's a bit too complicated, really.
No, you're explaining it really well. It's fascinating. And you obviously really enjoy it because your passion comes through, your energy is just wet there as you're talking about it. Amazing, amazing, great tools to be able to use.
Yeah.
And it's a gift, isn't it, to be able to help people to heal? It really is.
It's like, I think for me, it's this ability to be able to have a conversation with the body rather than a conversation with somebody's conscious mind and their mind going, well, I think, and the body's there, the energy body's there going, well, what about me? I'm having to carry this brain around. I have to carry this ego around. It's taking all the decisions. It's not listening to me.
Yeah.
And for half an hour, for an hour and a half or 2 hours, however long you want a session for, it's kind of like, I get a chance now. I get to speak.
Yeah. But I think that's what I love about the energy healing work that I do. If people find it difficult to talk, they don't have to, because it just dissipates and leaves the body in the healing. So there's loads of different healing modalities out there. I think we're all trying to achieve the same thing, aren't we? Yeah, brilliant. So you've mentioned the videos. I've seen a couple of your videos. You've got, is it a YouTube channel that you put out your video? Where can we find your videos?
If you just if you put Peter Pendlebury into YouTube, you'll find me. When I got married, wasn't too happy about the connection of the two names, if I'm absolutely honest.
Right.
However, with the advent of the internet, it's a really useful name, because Peter Pendlebury, I am pretty well the only one there.
Yeah.
So, yes, you go and put Peter Pendlebury. The business name is Peter Pendlebury Mind, Body, Soul.
Lovely.
So that's what the YouTube channel is called.
Okay. So, and you go on there, how often do you post on your YouTube?
Started the choosing to stay indoors period that we're in at the moment. It was every day for 2 weeks. Then it went to twice a week, and then from last week, was it? I think I started just doing once a week. But people can bob back and they can watch any video at any time, because they've been set up so that when you sit down to watch it, that's when it will activate for you. So it's not that, I didn't get it when it was sort of on the day. It doesn't matter, because it will be live when you want it. One of the things I really like, actually, is there's an option at the end of the video when I set it up that YouTube will give you the next video that's best for you from my playlist. And that's really interesting, because I had a mental sort of conversation with YouTube to say, could you please actually do this? Could you actually give the person, rather than give them a popular one, give them the right one for them? So I'm not quite sure whether we've managed to circumvent the algorithms on this one yet, but it will be very nice to actually see whether people actually did get what really is the next best video for them.
Super. So plenty of content for people to go and choose from. That's an excellent tool. Fantastic. Brilliant. So what does the future look like for Peter Pendlebury? What reflections have you had over choosing to stay indoors to form your business going forward?
I've really enjoyed the change. I've really enjoyed not working quite so hard. So I think that going forward, there will definitely be maybe a cutting back slightly on my hours. Sad to say, for all my clients who come in for other treatments, I haven't missed not doing them, really. I feel actually I have slightly missed electrolysis, because I really like that, because that makes such a big difference to women's and men's lives, and my transgender clients. So that does make a big difference to them. But when we'll be back to doing that, I honestly don't know if we're going to have to continue to wear masks when we're really close. If nothing changes week on Monday, clients will be back in the clinic if they want to be. So yes, definitely.
And toes. I got my feet
and toes,
as well.
everything. So, but I think I'm really looking forward to seeing how many clients decide actually not to come in, and actually choose to continue to do the online videos. That's well, to do the online videos, but also to continue to work with me virtually rather than actually physically being in the clinic.
It's great to have that choice though, isn't it? We've all now got this, is that we continue with it, have it as an either or. So yeah,
yes, which
really
is
good.
really nice. I mean, I have got a couple of clients who have really awful internet connections, so they don't really have a choice. We've tried it. So we've actually gone to phone for a couple of them because it's the only way of actually having a connection.
Yeah.
But I like to be able to see somebody. I like them to be able to see me. They can see Therapy Ted, you know, they kind of have a bit of a laugh with that. And
have you got Therapy Ted there?
yeah. We've
not mentioned Therapy Ted. Tell us about Therapy Ted, then we really need to be quickly moving on.
All right, okay.
He's so cute.
He's so cute, isn't he? Yes, he's just had a bit of a bath. Well, he had a bit of a wash. He had a bit of a wash. Yeah, he's this was when I first started doing online stuff. I couldn't work out how I was exactly going to hold the point. And then one of my friends who's a therapist who's been doing online stuff, different modality for years, she says, oh, we just use a bear. And I thought, oh, well, that's cute. Yeah. And so I had this little one. He's actually he is actually a therapy bear because his he comes out of a spa that was closing. A friend of mine gave me him. And so he's quite good because if we have to hold cosbats, they kind of go in his little jacket like that. So he holds them. He holds on to any remedies. So he's really good. But he becomes the client. So when we're actually doing a balance, and I set it in place exactly as I would as if you were in the clinic here with me. But rather than putting the things on you, the things go on the bear. Yeah. And then because of course energy, we're all connected. Then he then makes sure that that is all connected through to you.
I can understand that. We do that in distance healing. We'll sometimes use a bear or a photograph. Yeah, right, that makes perfect sense. We just call him Ted. You have not given him a different name. Just he's Therapy Ted. That's lovely.
Yeah.
So coming out of the period of time we choose to stay in, we don't like to use the word with you. What advice would you give to women in business for their mental health and well-being if then somebody's a little bit fearful of change?
I would say let me just think. What's first come into my head, always go with my instinct here, is that when you're making decisions about anything, or if you're feeling a bit nervous about something, just take a couple of seconds and just take 3 deep breaths. It calms the body down. There's actually a physical reaction in the body. So I would say take 3 deep breaths. I would also say carve out some time on a daily basis to have a conversation with your energy body to actually ask if what you're doing is the right thing for you right now. All of us could do with doing a bit more of that, myself included.
Yeah.
I can self-test. I can actually ask the energy body what I should be doing. But yeah, so I would actually start having that little dialogue with yourself about, is this the right thing for me to do? And just see what your instincts, what does your gut tell you?
Your gut, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the more practice you have at that, the better you'll get with it.
Yeah. And would you say close your eyes to do that?
Yes, I would actually. I would. If you're comfortable doing it, because not everybody is comfortable doing it, and not everybody is always in a space where they feel comfortable. But you can just lower your eyes and you can do what we call soft focus, which just basically means that you just kind of semi-stare at something until it goes slightly out of focus, because then you don't look like you're closing your eyes. If you're in a space with other people and you're having to make a decision on what your gut is telling you. But I think it does help if you close your eyes. Yeah.
You can go within, can't you?
Yes.
And like you say, the soft focus is like a mini trance, and you can pick up on your own sensations and your energy body in your trance state as well. Fabulous. Really enjoyed speaking to you. It's been lovely to hear about your business. I'm sure our paths will cross in the mothership. It's a fantastic opportunity for women in business to all be together and support each other. So I know you're going to be part of the academy, which is really exciting, and we look forward to hearing more about that soon. But thank you very much. It's been superb. Lovely to meet you. I'm sure we'll see each other again soon.
Okay.
Take care.